Hi there, friends. The meadow of Nysa shimmered as though the earth were holding its breath. Every blade of grass was lacquered with sunlight. Every petal looked dipped in gold. Yet beneath all this brightness, a tension curled thin as a hair, sharp as a hooked claw. Persephone felt it long before the others did. She could not explain why. The wind was warm, the sky clear, her companions laughing as they gathered blooms. But still, something watched. She straightened slowly, the hem of her dress brushing violets that shivered without a breeze. Her mother, Demeter, had always told her that the world was a place of cycles and secrets. Life hides life, she had said more than once. Even joy carries shadow. Persephone understood those words only in theory, until now. "Persephone, look!" her friend Calero cried, lifting a blossom unfamiliar to the meadow. Its petals were the color of bruised twilight, veined with molten silver. Have you ever seen such a flower? Persephone had not but the moment her eyes met it. A strange ache pressed deep inside her chest, as if the blossom knew her, as if it had bloomed for her and her alone. "Don't touch it," she said before she could stop herself. Calero laughed. "It's only a flower, only a flower." But the earth beneath it was too still, the air too quiet. Even the birds seemed to hold back their songs. Persephone stepped closer, compelled and repelled in equal measure. The petals trembled, though nothing touched them. Behind Persephone, a shadow lengthened, not from the sun, but from the ground itself. Yet none of the maidens noticed. Their chatter muted into a distant hum, like water heard through stone. Persephone knelt. Her hand hovered above the strange bloom. She didn't want to touch it, and yet some deeper instinct urged her forward. The flower pulsed once, like a heartbeat. She drew in a breath sharp enough to cut, and that was when the earth split. It did not crack gently. It did not rumble with warning. The meadow simply opened like a secret unzipping, and a chariot of obsidian surged upward, drawn by horses black enough to swallow the sun. The air roared with heat and dust. Her companions screamed shrill, panicked, helpless. But even their voices felt far away, muffled by the shock ripping through the moment. Persephone staggered back, but a hand cold, powerful, inescapable seized her wrist. Hades, lord of the underworld, brother of Zeus, master of shadows and oaths, and all things that mortals feared. His touch burned with a chill that was older than frost. The moment Persephone met his eyes, dark, fathomless, yet strangely luminous, she felt the world tilt, not with recognition, but with unveiling, as though she had seen this moment before in dreams she could not recall. "Persephone," he said, her name shaped like a vow, like a collision of longing and inevitability. "I have come for you." Her friends lunged toward her, but the horses reared, their hooves striking sparks from nothingness. A gale burst outward, flinging the maidens backward into the fields. Persephone's hair whipped around her face as the ground continued to open beneath her, widening into a yawning wound that swallowed color and sound. "Let me go," she shouted, struggling against his grip. Her voice cracked with terror, with fury, with something she could not name. "I cannot." Hades' voice deep, resonant, carved from silence, held neither mockery nor cruelty, only certainty, and that certainty terrified her more than violence ever could. She jerked her arm, twisting, fighting like a trapped flame. But Hades pulled her into the chariot in one fluid motion. She fell against his chest, her breath knocked from her lungs. The horses plunged downward, dragging them into the widening cleft. Sunlight thinned. Cold thickened. Above them, the meadow shrunk into a distant patch of broken color. She could still hear the faint cries of her companions, but they were already fading, swallowed by the earth itself. "Why me?" Persephone demanded, her voice raw. "Why steal me away?" Hades' expression flickered, but with what, she could not tell. Regret? Hunger? Fate? His eyes softened for a heartbeat, then hardened like obsidian. "You will understand," he said. "In time." The chariot plunged deeper, racing along a cavernous path lit by rivers of molten gold and dripping crystals that pulsed with eerie light. Shadows twisted around them like living things, watchful, whispering, beckoning. Persephone shivered, but not only from fear. There was something intoxicating in the air here, something ancient and forbidden, like the aftertaste of a dream she hadn't realized she'd been having. She hated that part of her didn't recoil. Above ground, the cleft sealed flowers, grass and sunlight returning as if nothing had happened. But Demeter felt the rupture instantly. She lifted her head from tending the wheat fields, her senses narrowing to a terrifying pinpoint of absence. Her daughter, her warmth, her joy, her promise was gone. The grasses beneath Demeter's feet shriveled. Wheat bowed its heads as if in mourning. The sun dimmed slightly, almost imperceptibly. But the change had begun. The rhythms of the world trembled. The cycle faltered. And deep below, Persephone clasped the edge of the chariot, her knuckles white, her breath shaking as they descended into a world she had never seen, a world waiting for her, a world that would reshape her as much as she would reshape it. Hades watched her, not with triumph, but with a shadowed intensity that made her look away. She did not yet know that her descent would fracture the seasons themselves. She did not yet know she would become a queen. She knew only this. She had been taken, and the world would break for it. The chariot cut through the earth like a blade through water, leaving no trace of its passage. Above them, the world of light shrank to a memory. Below, the underworld stretched out like a slow opening eye. Persephone gripped the rail so tightly her fingers ached. She would not clutch at Hades for support. She refused to give him that. Still, every jolt of the chariot sent her nearer his shoulder, nearer the cold gravity of him. It was as if the air around him was thicker, weighted with something old and binding. She finally found her voice again, not the terrified cry from the meadow, but something edged and sharp. "You planned this," she said. "You waited until my mother wasn't watching." Hades did not deny it. "Demeter watches everything," he said, "but even she cannot watch all things at once." The admission was so direct it threw her. No lies, no excuses, just a bald, unapologetic truth. "So you exploited the one moment she looked away," Persephone said. "How very noble of the Lord of the Dead." A corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile, but not quite. "You think nobility rules this world, or any of them?" His gaze flicked upward, as though seeing through the stone, through the sky, toward Olympus itself. "You are more innocent than I thought." Persephone burned at the word innocent. She had grown in Demeter's fields, yes, but she had also grown listening. Gods talked as if mortals were deaf and the young were stupid. She had heard whispers: Zeus's affairs, Hera's fury, Athena's strategy, Poseidon's threats. The cosmos was not held together by kindness. "Do not mistake silence for ignorance," she said. "Just because I've never seen your realm doesn't mean I don't know how gods behave." "Oh?" Hades asked mildly. "And how do gods behave?" "Like storms pretending to be laws," she snapped. "You destroy, then call it fate. You desire, then call it destiny. His eyes flashed a quick, faint light from somewhere deep, like magma beneath volcanic glass. He did not answer, but his jaw tightened, and she had the fleeting, dangerous feeling that she had struck closer to truth than she realized. The chariot finally slowed. Before them, the tunnel widened into a cavern so vast it was impossible to see where it ended. Rivers of shadow crossed rivers of light, some glowing faintly green, others shimmering pale blue. The air was cool and dry, carrying the faint echo of countless distant whispers. "The asphodel fields," Hades said quietly. "We passed near them." Persephone looked down. Shapes moved like gray reeds in mist. Souls, untold thousands wandering, murmuring, remembering, or trying to. A chill ran through her. "Do they know they're dead?" "Some do. Some cling to the habit of thinking themselves alive," he replied. "Given time, they forget. Given more time, even forgetting becomes a kind of peace." Persephone's hand tightened on the rail. "And you rule this?" "I tend this," Hades corrected. Rule is a word the upper gods use when they wish to feel important. Down here, there is only what must be done. There it was again, that strange thread of honesty. No honeyed words, no elaborate softening. It unsettled her. Lies she knew how to deal with. This bluntness was more unnerving. But if Hades thought bluntness would win her over, he was wrong. "You still stole me," she said. "Whatever pretty words you pinned to it." "Pretty?" Something nearly like amusement brushed his tone. "That is not how I would describe them." He reined the horses in further. Ahead, a gate loomed. It was not made of iron or stone, but something between both dark metal veined with pale, ghostly light. 3 paths of bone-white rock converged at its threshold. In front of it, a shape lay coiled. A monstrous hound with 3 heads, each crowned with ears sharp as blades. Each muzzle curled back from fangs as long as Persephone's hands. Cerberus. The beast rose as they approached, massive muscles rippling under obsidian fur. 3 sets of eyes glowed like coals in ash. One head growled, another sniffed, suspicious. The third cocked slightly, as if puzzled by the scent of living flowers and stolen sunlight. "Peace," Hades said softly, a command woven into a caress. Cerberus's growl eased into a low rumble. The beast stepped aside, but its gaze stayed fixed on Persephone, wary and fascinated. He sniffed once more at the air around her, then snorted, as if unsure what to make of her. Persephone met the central head's eyes and refused to flinch. "If your master thinks I'll be easily kept," she murmured, "he is mistaken." One of Cerberus's tails thumped once against the ground, almost like rough laughter. They passed through the gate. As they did, Persephone felt something brush against her skin. A cold pressure, like the ghost of a hand closing around her. She gasped, instinctively trying to pull back, but there was nothing to escape from. The sensation faded, leaving only a tingling awareness along her arms and throat. "What was that?" she demanded. "The gates recognize who enters," Hades said. "They weigh what belongs and what does not. And I do not belong." His eyes flicked to her. Not yet. Far above, in the bright halls of Olympus, another conversation unfolded, colder than the underworld and far more dangerous. Zeus stood by a balcony of white marble, watching lightning stitch the horizon. Thunder rumbled somewhere deep in his chest, as if echoing his moods rather than the skies. He looked every inch the king, broad-shouldered, crowned with gold, eyes like storms held barely in check. Behind him, Demeter burst through the doors, her hair usually smoothed like ripened wheat whipped around her face in wild curls. Her green eyes blazed with fury so intense the air she held a stalk of grain that had withered to black the moment she'd learned. Persephone gone, vanished from the meadow in a way no mortal power could manage. Only a god. "Where is she?" Demeter demanded, skipping any pretense of courtesy. "What have you done, Zeus?" Zeus did not turn at once. He watched a distant bolt of lightning strike the sea, sending up a plume of steam. "You assume it was I," he said. "Interesting. No one else dares move pieces on the board without your permission," she hissed. "The earth told me she was taken below. The soil itself screamed it. This is no trick of nymphs or titans. This is a god's doing." Zeus exhaled heavily. "Demeter, do not speak my name as though I am a child," she snapped. "Answer me." He turned at last. For a moment, he almost looked tired, but the expression vanished quickly, smoothed into the practiced calm of a ruler trying to look reasonable. "Your daughter," he said carefully, "is in the underworld." Demeter went still. Not quiet still, like the moment before an avalanche ruins a mountain. "With Hades," she said. "With Hades," Zeus confirmed. "Did he take her?" Her voice was low now, dangerous in its restraint. Zeus hesitated. Not for long, but long enough. Demeter's hands shook. The stalk of grain in her fingers crumbled to ash. "You gave her to him," she breathed. "Without telling me, without asking her. Demeter, listen. You bargained my child away as if she were a casket of gold," she spat. "Is that what she is to you? A piece in one of your games?" Zeus's jaw clenched. Thunder rolled closer, though the sky outside was still bright. "Hades came to me, as is proper," he said. "He asked for a bride, a queen. He asked for Persephone. And you said yes." Demeter's voice broke, then hardened, forging itself into something sharper. "You offered her future like a cup of wine." "She is not a mortal girl," Zeus said. "She is a goddess. The underworld needs a queen, someone who can bring balance to Hades' realm, who can understand life as well as death. Your daughter is not a trinket traded, Demeter. She is suited." "Suited," she echoed, incredulous. "To a prison in the dark?" Zeus's gaze sharpened. "Do not call my brother's kingdom a prison. I will call it what it is," she snarled. "He could have courted her. He could have come openly. He could have given her a choice." Zeus did not answer. That was answer enough. Demeter stepped closer, eyes full of a wrath that made even the king of the gods shift his weight. "You have taken my child," she said. "You have torn her from the sun and the earth she loves. For that, Zeus, you will learn what it means when the earth refuses to obey." "Do not threaten me," he warned. "This is not a threat," Demeter said. "It is a promise. Until my daughter is returned to me fully, freely, I will withdraw my hand from the fields. No seed will sprout. No tree will fruit. The world will know hunger like it has never known it before." Zeus laughed once, disbelieving. "You would punish mortals to spite me? I would let the natural order speak," she countered. "Let them feel the cold of a world without growth. Then perhaps they will carry their prayers not only to you with your thunder, but to me. And those prayers will be full of curses." "Demeter, you made this choice," she said. "Now live with it." She turned on her heel and stormed out, leaving Zeus standing at the balcony, watching the first subtle brown creep into once green hills far below. He frowned. He had underestimated her. And far beneath, in the underworld, Hades led Persephone through another set of doors. These carved from polished obsidian streaked with veins of faintly luminous stone. They opened silently, revealing a hall that surprised her. She had expected horror. She found beauty. Not the bright, gaudy beauty of Olympus, but a quiet, intricate one. Columns etched with spirals of stars, braziers holding pale fire that glowed without smoke. On the walls, carvings of rivers and trees and sky memories of the world above, captured in shadow. "You decorate your prison well," she said. "If you must insult my home, at least be accurate," Hades replied. "This is a throne room, not a cell." He stopped at the base of a set of steps leading up to 2 thrones. One was his, dark, solid, comfortable in its severity. The other stood slightly smaller, its surface untouched by wear. "Waiting. For you," he said softly. "Persephone, queen of the underworld." She stared at it, then at him. "Oh no," she said. "You may have stolen my body, Hades, but you will not so easily steal my consent." His eyes met hers, a storm of shadow and ember. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Far above, the first leaf yellowed and fell before its time. The world, ever obedient to the whims of gods, began to change. The throne room stretched before Persephone like a challenge carved in shadow. The air was cool, still, and heavy with a silence that hummed beneath her skin, as though the entire realm were listening, waiting not for Hades, but for her reaction. Persephone did not move. Hades remained where he stood, a single hand resting lightly at his side, as though he had no need to force anything further. It infuriated her more than if he'd tried to drag her up the steps. "You assume," Persephone said, her voice as even as she could keep it, "that a seat determines a queen." "What determines a queen," Hades replied, "is the willingness to bear what others cannot." "And what if I do not wish to bear it?" "Then you will learn," he said softly, "as all gods do. Choice is a luxury. Fate is not." Fate. The word struck her like a blow. It always did when spoken by gods who used it like a shield to justify their own desires. Persephone took a step toward the empty throne, not to accept it, but to look upon it with full understanding. It was carved from smooth obsidian streaked with veins of pale fire, as if lit from within. Spirals of vines wound across its surface, their leaves made of some mineral that gleamed faintly like moonlit frost. It was beautiful. It was also a cage. She turned back to Hades sharply. "What do you expect of me? To sit here while you command death and shadow, smiling prettily by your side?" His eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in something like disappointment. "No, not quite. Something heavier." "Persephone," he said slowly, "I did not bring you here to sit by my side and smile." "Then why?" she demanded. He hesitated. Not long, but long enough for the air to shift. "You will see," he said at last. "No." She faced him fully now. "You will tell me." The torches flickered as if stirred by a sudden draft. Even the shadows seemed to lean closer. Hades' face remained unreadable, carved from the same darkness that filled the realm. But when he spoke, his voice carried a thread she had not heard before. Raw, faint, impossibly old. "Because the underworld is not only death," he said. "It is balance, and balance requires more than one hand." Persephone's breath stilled. He looked away, as though unable or unwilling to meet her gaze. "My realm has grown, restless," he said. "The dead multiply, the living cling to life with desperation. The weight between worlds shifts. Something must rise to meet it. And you decided I must rise," she said, her voice trembling not with fear, but something sharper. "Without asking, without offering me the chance to refuse. Would you have accepted?" he asked quietly. She opened her mouth, but no words came, because truth, unwelcome and unbidden, rose like a tide. She might have said no. She might have run, She might have laughed in his face, but part of her, deep, buried, unacknowledged, felt drawn here, as if the darkness itself had whispered her name long before Hades had seized her wrist. Hades watched the conflict flicker through her expression. "That is why I took you," he said. "Because you would not have chosen this path, and yet the world requires it of you." The world. The word landed like a stone in her stomach. Up above, Demeter walked the fields with frantic steps, calling Persephone's name, feeling the life drain from every furrow she touched. The world was changing. It was unraveling. Had Zeus known that? Had Hades predicted it? Or was all of this spiraling out of their control? Persephone forced the questions away and lifted her chin. "You speak of fate," she said, "but you do not know mine." "Then show me," Hades replied. Hades dismissed the horses and stepped away from the throne room entrance, moving with controlled, deliberate strides. Persephone realized he expected her to follow. She almost refused, but the alternative was to stand alone in the hall, watched by statues of night and memory. So, with teeth clenched, she trailed after him. They descended a staircase lined with silver veined stone. The air grew colder, not unpleasant, but crisp, like the first breath before snowfall. "What is this place?" Persephone asked. "The Hall of Echoes," Hades said. They entered a long chamber carved with thousands of faintly glowing patterns. Spirals, runes, symbols she didn't recognize. Soft whispers drifted through the air, restless and hungry. "The voices of the dead?" she asked. "No," Hades said. "The memories of the dead. Their echoes wait here before dispersing to the fields or to judgment." Persephone stepped closer to one of the glowing runes. A face shimmered briefly translucent, uncertain before vanishing. She felt a tug in her chest, an echo brushing her consciousness. Sadness, regret, a longing to be remembered. "Do they choose where they go?" she asked quietly. "No," Hades said. "But they choose how they accept it." She turned to him. "And who decides their fate?" "Not I alone," he said. "There are three who judge: Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus." "And what is your role?" she asked. He looked at her, then really looked, as if weighing whether she was ready to hear the truth. "My role," he said, "is to hold the weight of them. All of them. Forever." Persephone felt the cold shift around her. For the first time, she saw something not frightening or imposing, but lonely. Utterly, devastatingly lonely. He gestured for her to continue deeper. They entered a vast chamber where three rivers met, one glowing faint green, one pale blue, one shimmering silver. Souls drifted along their currents like fallen petals. "To the fields," Hades said softly. "To judgment, to forgetfulness." Persephone watched the streams converge and separate again, a rhythm both serene and sorrowful. "There must be someone," he continued, "who mediates between endings and beginnings. Someone who understands the cycles of life as well as the stillness of death." She knew what he meant before he said it. "That someone," Hades said, "is you." Persephone staggered as if struck. "No," she whispered. "Yes," he said. "You are daughter of the harvest. You carry the pulse of life in you. You alone can temper this realm. You alone can restore balance." Her heart hammered. Her breath came too fast. "I did not ask for this." "Neither did I," Hades said softly. She froze. He had spoken the words like a confession, quiet and unguarded. "I did not ask to rule the dead," he continued. "Yet here I am." Persephone's anger pulsed, tangled with something she refused to name. "You expect me to sympathize with you?" she asked. No, he said. I expect you to understand what it means when the world chooses for you. Silence pressed in around them, heavy as the earth above. Persephone looked at the rivers, at the souls drifting, at the pain and peace interwoven. A queen was not just a title. It was a burden, a calling, a fate. She turned away sharply. I am not ready. No one ever is, he murmured. She hated how calm he sounded. She hated that part of her understood. Far above, Demeter wandered the barren fields. The soil cracked beneath her feet. The trees drooped. Flowers curled in on themselves, their color draining. She touched a wilted stem, and for the first time in her immortal life, she felt the earth resist her. Her knees buckled. She whispered her daughter's name into the dying wind. Persephone. Her grief sank into the world like a stone thrown into still water. The first true winter began to form. Deep in the underworld, Persephone felt a chill sweep across her skin. A whisper of frost that did not belong to Hades' realm. She turned sharply. What was that? She asked. Hades looked up. He felt it too. Something changes above, he said. The earth stirs with grief. Because of me, she whispered. He said nothing. He didn't need to. For the first time, Persephone felt the weight of what had begun. Not just a kidnapping, not just a stolen goddess. A fracture in the world's rhythm. A wound that only she could heal, but only if she chose. Her choice taken from her now hung over gods and mortals alike. And the seasons themselves trembled in the balance. The underworld had a strange way of measuring time, neither by sun, nor moon, nor stars. Down in the realm of Hades, hours blurred like watercolors left out in the rain, running into one another until Persephone could no longer tell how long she'd been there. A day? A week? A heartbeat? But she felt each moment, every breath as sharp as flint. Persephone followed Hades through the vast chambers and halls of his realm, her steps echoing in the quiet like a second heartbeat she couldn't escape. The silence made her restless. The stillness made her furious. At last, she stopped abruptly. Enough, she said. Hades paused a few paces ahead, his back to her. He did not turn immediately. When he finally did, his expression was unreadable, as if carved from the very obsidian walls around them. Enough of what? He asked. Of wandering, Persephone snapped. You take me through shadows and rivers and ghosts without telling me what any of it means. Why show me all this? To impress me? To frighten me? His brow twitched, not irritation, but surprise. Neither, he said. I am showing you your realm, not mine, she corrected sharply. Yours. He stepped closer, and though he did not touch her, she felt his presence like a cloak settling around her shoulders, heavy, unwanted, inescapable. That will change, he murmured. She took a step back. You assume too much. I assume nothing, he said. I only see what is. Persephone bristled. What you see is what you want. What I want, he said quietly, is irrelevant. The realm needs you. She exhaled sharply. You keep saying that, but I don't understand what you mean. He studied her for a long moment. Then he turned and gestured for her to follow. I will show you. They walked until the carved corridors gave way to a cavern vast enough to swallow mountains. The air glimmered faintly, as if filled with dust made of stars. The ground was dark but rich, like freshly tilled soil. In the center stood a tree twisted, ancient, and bare. No leaves, no blossoms, only pale branches reaching upward like skeletal fingers. Persephone felt something stir inside her chest, something deep and instinctive. What is this place? It is the Garden of the Dead, Hades said. Or rather, it was. She stepped closer to the tree, drawn by something she didn't understand. The soil at its base was cold, yet smelled faintly of life dormant, waiting, trapped. It has been like this for ages, Hades continued. Nothing grows here anymore. The land rejects my hand. It rejects all hands. Yet you bring me, Persephone said, voice low. Why? Because you carry the spark it lacks. She bristled. The spark of life? Of spring? Do you think I can just wave my hand and fix your broken garden? No, Hades said. I think you can wake it. Persephone stared at him, searching for a hint of manipulation, of coercion. But his gaze held only steadiness, a kind of quiet faith she had not expected from the god who stole her. She turned to the tree again, running her fingertips along the bark. It was cold, but not dead, just asleep, caught in a winter without end. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she imagined the sun on her skin, the scent of growing things, the laughter of her friends in the fields of Nysa. The memory hurt, slicing through her like a blade made of light. Something trembled beneath her fingertips. A faint pulse. She gasped, snapping her hand back. The tree's ancient bark glowed faintly where she had touched it, just a flicker, a single ember before fading again. Persephone staggered. What was that? Hades' voice was soft. Proof. I didn't mean to. No one ever means to awaken a world, he said. But it happens all the same. Her throat tightened. She didn't want to feel the pull. She didn't want to feel responsible for something in this place of shadows. Yet the tree's plea haunted her fingertips. She spun toward Hades. Is this why you wanted me? Not for a throne. Not for a crown. For this? For balance, he said. For renewal. Her breath shook. For life. Yes. She paced in a tight circle, unable to contain the surge of emotions rising in her like a storm. So you want to drag life into the land of the dead, she said. Is that it? Undermine the laws of nature just because the underworld feels restless? It is not nature I defy, Hades said. It is stagnation. Death left unchallenged becomes corruption. She froze. What do you mean? He stepped beside her, not too close, but close enough that she could see the faint tension behind his calm exterior. The underworld is swelling, he said. The balance between life and death weakens. Souls linger too long. Rivers overflow. The borders fray. Why? Persephone asked. Hades hesitated. Because up above, the world thrives too richly. Life grows unchecked. Demeter enriches her fields each year more than the last. Mortals grow bold. They live longer. They fear death more and cling to life even when their time has passed. Persephone's heart clenched. Are you blaming my mother? I do not blame, Hades said. I observe. His gaze was firm, not cruel. The world above blossoms endlessly. The world below suffocates. The two are out of harmony. And you expect me, she said bitterly, to fix what gods far older and more powerful than I have unbalanced. Not expect, he said. Hope. The word landed gently, unexpectedly. Persephone's breath caught. Hope. She had not heard that in his voice before. It had a quiet, fragile resonance, almost human. She looked again at the barren tree, at the soil that whispered for touch, for breath, for growth. A strange ache filled her, not grief, not anger, but something like yearning, though she refused to name it. What if I refuse? She asked softly. Hades considered this. Then the realm will continue to wither. The imbalance will deepen. The worlds above and below will strain against each other until both fracture. And if I agree, then life will return to the dark, he said, and death will find its rightful place in the light. Her skin prickled. You speak as if this is destiny. I speak as if it is necessary. The silence stretched between them, deep, heavy, alive. Persephone turned back to the tree. She lifted her hand once more, then let it fall, unsure. I don't trust you, she said. Hades inclined his head. I do not ask for trust. Then what do you ask for? He answered without hesitation. Time. She blinked. Time? To let you see, he said softly, what this realm can be with you. A tremor ran through the earth beneath their feet. Persephone and Hades both turned sharply. A faint glow, soft, pale, almost invisible, pulsed at the base of the tree. A single bud, small, fragile, stubborn, began to form. Persephone's breath hitched. I didn't do that, she whispered. No, Hades said. But you are here, and that is enough. She stared at the trembling bud, torn between horror and wonder. Do not fear it, Hades murmured. Life answers to you, no matter the realm. Persephone swallowed hard. Above them, frost spread across the earth. Below them, a bud of light clung stubbornly to the dark. And the balance between worlds shifted quietly, dangerously, undeniably. The bud at the base of the dead tree glowed faintly, so faintly that Persephone thought at first she had imagined it. But then it pulsed again, a tiny heartbeat of light in a cavern of darkness. The sight rooted her in place. Hades did not move, did not speak. He watched her in a way she had not yet seen, a softness in his gaze that did not belong to the ruler of the dead. Persephone tore her eyes from the bud and faced him. What does this mean? It means, Hades said quietly, that the realm recognizes you. I didn't do anything. And yet, he replied, you are here. She looked back at the bud, a fragile, trembling whisper of life, breaking through centuries of stillness. This wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered. Perhaps not, he said. But the world rarely obeys what it is supposed to do. A bitter laugh escaped her. I was never meant to be here. His voice was calm, but beneath it lay something colder, more resigned. None of us end where we were meant to. She turned sharply. You chose this. I chose obedience, he corrected, long before you were born. Persephone stiffened. The way he said it, quiet, almost weary, rippled through her. She had only ever known Hades as the distant, aloof god of the dead. But now, cracks in that facade showed glimpses of something unexpected. Not cruelty, not triumph, loneliness. She pushed the thought away. Sympathy was dangerous here. Even if this realm recognizes me, she said, I don't accept it. Acceptance will come when it must, Hades replied. She scowled. You speak as if you know my future. I do not pretend to know your choices, he said. Only that they matter. Persephone looked away, unsettled. The bud continued to glow softly. Hades stepped closer, not invading her space, but approaching the tree as if addressing an ancient wound. The underworld has long hungered for balance. It feels your presence the way barren soil feels the first promise of spring. She swallowed. Then why does it feel so cold? Because life has only just arrived, he said, and even life needs time to take root. The bud flickered, as though understanding. Persephone exhaled slowly. Whatever this is, whatever effect I have here, it's not enough. I can't heal an entire realm. Not in a day, Hades agreed. But you are not alone in this. She frowned. Meaning you? Meaning all of it, he said, gesturing to the cavern, to the soil, to the very walls. This realm is not a corpse. It is a sleeping giant, and you expect me to wake it, I expect you to listen to it. Persephone blinked. How? With the sense you've had all along, he said. The same sense that drew you to that bud. She opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. Because he was right. Something had drawn her. A whisper she couldn't name. A tug she couldn't deny. It frightened her. She hated that it also fascinated her. Hades watched her carefully. You feel it, don't you? She hesitated. I feel something. A pulse, he said. A rhythm. Her breath hitched. Because that was exactly it. A slow, deep thrum not heard, not seen, but felt. As if the cavern itself had a heartbeat. It has always been here, he said. Waiting. Persephone stepped back, overwhelmed. Stop. Please. I don't want to hear this. Her voice cracked. Hades paused. His face softened. Persephone, he said quietly. None of this is meant to overwhelm you. But it does, she whispered. You say this realm needs me, but what about what I need? He did not answer immediately. What do you need? He asked at last. The question stunned her. No one, no god had ever asked her that with sincerity. She opened her mouth, ready to fire back something sharp, defensive. But what escaped was the truth. I need the sun, she said. I need my mother. I need the breeze on my skin and the smell of wheat and... Her voice broke. I need the choice you stole from me. Silence. It fell heavy between them, like a dropped stone. Hades lowered his gaze. I know. You know, she repeated, furious. And yet you took me. His eyes darkened, not with anger, but with conflict. I took you because the world breaks without you. Then let it break, she hissed. Hades stepped closer, his voice low. And what of the mortals? Would you sentence them to famine? To plague? To death without mercy? Persephone froze, because above, Demeter wandered the world in grief, and the earth withered under her feet. The mortals suffered already. Because of her. Her throat tightened. This is not my doing, she whispered desperately. This is yours, and Zeus's, and my mother's grief. And yours, Hades said quietly. Your absence unravels the seasons. She flinched. The truth, terrible and undeniable, hit her like an icy wave. If she never returned above, the world would starve. Her mother would break, mortals would perish, and the seasons would freeze in an endless winter. Persephone's knees weakened. I didn't ask for this, she said. Any of this. I know, Hades said, but you cannot unmake what has already begun. She turned away from him, staring at the bud again. Its glow was faint, fragile, yet stubborn. It was the first thing in the underworld that had bloomed for her. Not for Hades, not for Zeus. For her. She didn't know whether to be horrified or moved. Finally, she whispered, Is this why you treated me like a prisoner? Because you fear what I might choose? Hades exhaled slowly. I treated you as one because your mother would sooner burn the world than let you stay here. He stepped closer, not touching her voice low. And I feared you would flee before you understood what you are to this realm. She looked at him sharply. And what am I? He held her gaze. A queen. Persephone's heart hammered. I am not your queen. Not yet, he said. The words ignited something inside her. Anger, defiance, possibility. She turned away, forcing herself to breathe. But the bud glowed again, brighter than before. A sign, a plea, a beginning. Persephone whispered, What happens if I help this realm? If I wake it? Hades answered without hesitation. Then life and death will finally learn to share the same breath. Her pulse quickened. And me? She asked quietly. What happens to me? For the first time, Hades did not have an answer. He looked at her with a strange, unguarded honesty. "That," he said, "is for you to decide." The cavern trembled. The bud unfurled a single petal, silver and luminous. Above the world, snow began to fall. And Persephone stood between two fates, neither chosen, both inevitable. Her decision would not merely shape her destiny, but the turning of the seasons themselves. Persephone tore her gaze from the newly opened petal, as though looking at it too long would anchor her deeper into the underworld. The cavern seemed to breathe around her, slow, deliberate, ancient. Every flicker of light from the budding flower cast shadows that stretched and curled like the tendrils of some unseen creature reaching toward her. She stepped back. Hades watched her with an unreadable expression, neither triumphant nor pleading, simply observing, waiting. "Don't look at me like that," Persephone snapped, though her voice trembled. "I don't know what any of this means." "You will," he said softly. "I don't want to know." Hades exhaled, the faintest sigh, a sound she would never have expected from the stern, unyielding god who had dragged her into the depths. Yet here it was, quiet as a confession. "You cannot unfeel what the realm has shown you," he said. "You cannot unhear its need." Persephone's jaw clenched. "You speak of need as if the underworld is alive." "It is." She glared. "So you claim." "I do not need to claim it," he replied. "You have already sensed it." Her skin prickled. She hated how true that felt. The ground beneath her hummed just barely, like a whisper beneath her feet. She stepped away from the tree, desperate for distance from its pull, from the realm's pulse, from the truth coiling around her like smoke. Hades followed, his steps quiet. "Persephone, listen to me." She spun. "Stop telling me to listen. You kidnapped me, stole me from my life, from my mother, from the world above, and now you expect me to be, what? Grateful, willing, cooperative." "No," Hades said, his voice steady. "I expect you to survive." The answer stunned her. "Survive," she echoed. "Your mother's grief spreads like frost," he said. "The world grows colder each hour. Soon the mortals will starve and their deaths will flood my gates. You are at the center of a storm that neither of us can stop alone." Persephone's breath hitched. "I didn't choose to be at the center of anything. Fate chose for you," he said. She flinched. He stepped closer. "But choice remains in what you do now." Her heart pounded. "You're lying. All gods lie." Hades shook his head slowly. "Not all, and not about this." He extended his hand, not grabbing, not demanding, simply offering. A gesture of truce. A gesture of possibility. Persephone stared at it as though it were a serpent poised to strike. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "We need an accord," Hades said. "A pact between us." She laughed bitterly. "A pact? With the god who dragged me here against my will?" "Yes," he said, "because our wills alone cannot stop what has begun." The cavern trembled faintly, as though agreeing. "What sort of pact?" she asked warily. "One that gives you freedom," Hades said. Persephone froze. Freedom? From him? She narrowed her eyes. "Explain." Hades lowered his hand but met her gaze with unflinching sincerity. "You will not be bound to stay here forever." Her chest tightened painfully. "What are you saying?" "You may return to the world above," he said, "but only for part of the year." Her breath caught, sharp and bewildered. "What?" she whispered. "The realm cannot flourish without you," he said. "The dead cannot find balance, and the world above cannot bloom without you either." Persephone staggered back. "So you want to split me?" Tear me in half? No, he said. I want to weave you between worlds. She stared at him, stunned. The idea was impossible, unthinkable, and yet, strangely, fitting. Her life had never been simply mortal or divine, never purely sunlight or soil, never only a daughter or only a goddess. What was she if not the bridge between life and death? No, she whispered, shaking her head violently. No, you can't just cut my life into seasons like a tapestry. I am not cutting anything, Hades said. I am offering what you were denied. What's that? She spat. Choice. The word silenced her. Hades continued. Persephone, if you return above now without understanding your power, without knowing how to control what you awakened in this realm, the worlds will only fracture harder. Demeter will choke the earth in grief. Mortals will die. Their souls will drown the underworld. Balance will crumble. Persephone's pulse raced. He wasn't threatening her. He wasn't manipulating her. He was telling her the truth, a horrible, unavoidable truth. What choice do I have? She whispered. You have two, Hades said. Stay and learn, or flee blindly and break the world. She turned away, fingers digging into her palms. It wasn't fair. None of it was fair. Above, her mother searched for her. Below, the realm called to her. Two worlds, two hungers, two futures. Her voice fractured. Why me? Hades answered without hesitation. Because life and death answer to you. She squeezed her eyes shut. He stepped closer, slowly, respectfully, the way one approaches a wild creature ready to bolt. You think I took you out of desire, he said quietly, but I took you out of fear. Persephone's eyes flew open. Fear of her. Hades held her gaze, shadows flickering like embers behind his irises. Fear of what would happen to this realm without you. Fear of what would happen to the world above if you remained untouched by your own power. Fear that the balance I have held for eons was slipping beyond my grasp. His voice grew raw. Fear that the universe was reaching for you, and I did not know whether it meant to bless you or destroy you. Her breath trembled. For the first time since her capture, Persephone saw Hades not as a captor or king, but as someone standing at the edge of something vast, trying not to fall. She whispered, "Why didn't you just ask?" "Because your mother would have refused," he said softly. "Because Zeus would have forbidden it. Because fate rarely waits for permission." The cavern fell silent. Persephone looked down at her hands that had stirred a bud to life in the heart of death. Hands that held the rhythm of seasons, even here. Slowly she asked, "And what does this pact require?" Hades's answer was quiet, sincere. That you stay here for part of the year long, enough to restore balance to the realm. And that you return above for part of the year to restore balance to your mother's world. "And you?" she asked. "What do you give in return?" "My oath," Hades said, placing a hand over his heart. "That you will never again be taken, never again be forced. That the underworld will be your realm by right, not by abduction." Her throat tightened painfully. He was offering her sovereignty. He was offering her freedom. He was offering her something no god had offered her before. Respect. Persephone turned toward the budding flower. Its single petal unfurled like a silver flame. A beginning. A choice. She inhaled a trembling breath. "Show me," she whispered. "Show me how to wake this realm." Hades exhaled not with triumph, but with a quiet, profound relief. "As you wish," he said. The cavern brightened. The underworld stirred, and far above, the wind carried the faintest hint of change, soft, fragile, like the first breath of spring asleep beneath snow. The cavern brightened, not with sunlight, but with something subtler, something that breathed. Pale luminescence seeped from the walls like dew coaxed from stone. The single silver petal trembled, stretching ever so slightly, absorbing the change. Persephone felt it brush her skin warm and cool all at once, like standing between two seasons. She inhaled undeliberately, and the air filled her lungs like a new kind of wind. Hades watched her intently. "Do you feel it?" he asked. She hesitated. "I think so." "What does it feel like?" Persephone closed her eyes. The air shifted again, brushing her cheek like a whispering hand. She listened not with her ears, but with something deeper. "It feels," she searched for the words, "like the soil is waiting, like it recognizes me." Hades inclined his head. "It does. Stop saying it like it's obvious," she muttered. "But it is," he said. "Here, life does not grow without a guiding hand. It needs will. It needs purpose." She glanced at him sharply. "Meaning it needs me." "Meaning," he corrected gently. "It can finally grow because you are here." Persephone's pulse quickened, a mix of anger and something unnervingly like pride. She pushed that second feeling down as far as it would go. "I don't want this," she said through clenched teeth. "I know," Hades replied. His calmness infuriated her, but not enough to drown out the truth humming in her blood. She turned back to the tree, each step deliberate. The soil shifted beneath her feet, softening, as if aligning itself to her presence. The bud glowed. "This is absurd," she murmured. "One touch and everything reacts." "Because you are the daughter of Demeter," Hades said. "You carry the power of growth in every breath." Persephone thought of her mother, of warm fields, sunlight dancing across her hair, laughter echoing in the valleys. A sharp ache lanced her chest. This realm wanted what she had, but what she had belonged to someone else. She rested her palm lightly against the bark. It felt warmer this time, as though the tree were breathing beneath her hand. "Why this place?" she asked quietly. "Why bring me here first, instead of showing me your throne, your power, your dominion?" Hades was silent for a beat that felt like the pause before a storm breaks. "Because I wanted you to see what matters." She looked over her shoulder. "To you?" "To the realm," he corrected. Then softer. "And to me." A chill ran down her spine at the gentleness in his tone. She pulled her hand away quickly, as if burned. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't try to soften this. You stole me." His expression didn't flinch, but something in his eyes flickered. Pain, regret, restraint. "I know. You think a lesson in gardening redeems you?" "No," he said. "But understanding may." Persephone turned fully toward him, fury rising like a tide. "You want understanding? Tell me why you didn't ask me before you tore me away. Tell me why you made my mother believe I was dead. Tell me why you pulled me into the dark without a single word of warning." Hades stepped closer, not looming, but grounding himself, as though bracing for a blow. "Because I feared refusal," he said. Persephone's breath caught. "I feared," Hades continued, voice even but raw beneath, "that the universe was shifting, that the realms were falling out of harmony, that the dead were suffocating under their own weight, while the living hoarded the pulse of creation." "That was not my doing," Persephone hissed. "No," he said, "but it is your inheritance." The words struck deep, Hades continued. "I saw a path that terrified me, a fracture between realms, one that could grow into something catastrophic, a war of seasons, a collapse of boundaries, a world where both life and death would starve. He held her gaze, unblinking. And then I saw you. Persephone felt the realm pulse faint, aware. You were the answer I did not expect, Hades said. A bridge between extremes, a goddess not bound by Olympus or Earth alone. Her heart thudded. You think I want to be a bridge? She snapped. I want my life back. You will have it, Hades said calmly. But it will not be untouched. Power never leaves the one who carries it unchanged. Persephone's anger faltered, not because she forgave him, but because she felt the truth beneath his words. Something in her had shifted since she arrived. Something had awakened. She pressed a hand to her heart as if trying to steady it. How do I learn to control this? She asked, voice tight. This pull. Hades' expression softened. By listening. Listening to what? She demanded. To the world around you. Persephone glared. That's vague. He gestured to the cavern. The underworld speaks in whispers. You must follow the faintest threads, the quietest breaths. She closed her eyes reluctantly, and the realm stirred. It began as a distant hum, like the echo of a river beneath stone. Then it grew soft, low vibrations brushing her skin. The soil warmed, air thickened. The bud quivered again. Persephone inhaled deeply. The realm's heartbeat synchronized with hers, slowly, delicately. She gasped and opened her eyes. What is that? That, Hades said, is the realm greeting its queen. I am not yet, he agreed, but you will be. She shook her head violently. No, I haven't agreed to anything. I don't want a throne. I don't want a crown. You want purpose, Hades said quietly. And power frightens you because you feel both. Her pulse stuttered. She hated how close he was to the truth. She hated that he saw it before she did. Enough, she said abruptly. I'm done with lessons for the day. As you wish. His compliance startled her. She had expected resistance, argument, some attempt to sway her. Instead, Hades simply inclined his head, a gesture not of dominance, but of respect. We will continue when you're ready, he said. Persephone blinked. You're not forcing me? I told you, he said. You are no prisoner here. Her voice shook with disbelief. You brought me here in chains. You walked into the realm as a captive, Hades said softly. That does not mean you must live in it as one. Before she could respond, a faint tremor rippled through the cavern. Hades went still. Persephone stiffened. What was that? A message, he said slowly, listening to something she could not hear. From above. Persephone's heart leapt. From my mother? No, he said, face darkening. From Zeus. Cold dread slid down Persephone's spine. What does he want? Hades' jaw tightened. To bargain. For me? For the realms. Persephone's stomach dropped. She wasn't ready. She wasn't steady. She wasn't anything they wanted her to be. But the world had already started reshaping itself around her. Hades met her gaze, eyes like smoldering embers. The king of the gods summons us, he said. The time for hiding is over. Persephone felt the cavern pulse once more, the realm trembling, fearing, hoping. She breathed in, and the air tasted of both winter and spring. The message from Zeus had no sound, no voice, just a pressure in the air like thunder rumbling behind stone. The cavern's faint glow dimmed, shadows deepening as if bracing themselves. Persephone felt it before Hades even spoke. A tightening in her chest, a prickling in her fingertips, the sense of a storm gathering in a place where storms should not exist. Hades' eyes darkened, unreadable. Zeus calls for counsel. Persephone swallowed hard. You can't seriously mean to answer him. I cannot ignore him, Hades said simply. But he gave me away, she stammered, her voice cracking. He promised me without my knowledge. He allowed you to take me. I know, Hades said, and he will answer for it. Something inside her flickered, not triumph, something quieter, something like hope, but she crushed it quickly. And if I refuse to go? She whispered. Hades met her gaze. He will come here. The ground seemed to pulse with dread. And Persephone understood Zeus descending into the underworld would not be a negotiation. It would be war. Very well, she whispered. But I won't stand silently by your side while the gods decide my fate. Hades inclined his head. They won't. She blinked. What do you mean? You will stand as an equal, he said. Not a prize, not a hostage. My realm has already recognized you. She bristled. I didn't ask for that. Power seldom waits for permission, Hades murmured. Before she could respond, he lifted his hand and traced a sigil in the air, an arc of shadow that rippled like ink on water. The cavern dissolved around them, its light fading, its soil retreating into darkness. The ground rose beneath their feet, smooth and cold. They were transported, not up to the world of light, but to the threshold between realms. They stood at the gates of shadows, the border where the underworld touched the sky like 2 pages of a book meeting at the spine. Hades called it the limen, though mortals knew nothing of it. Here, the world above shimmered faintly overhead, like a reflection in water, while the ground beneath was obsidian carved into sweeping arches. Persephone shivered. The air was thin and sharp, neither living nor dead. Hades extended a cloak toward her, dark as midnight, soft as smoke. It will shield you, he said. She hesitated, then snatched it from his hands with a scowl. I don't need your gifts. It is not a gift, he said. It is protection. Persephone glared at him, but swept the cloak around her shoulders anyway. Its weight settled over her like cool armor, humming faintly with some ancient magic. As they approached the center of the threshold, thunder growled overhead. A warning. Zeus was arriving. Persephone stiffened, her breath catching in her throat. I don't want to see him. You don't have to want it, Hades said quietly. You only have to stand. She clenched her fists. Don't tell me what to do. He didn't smile, but some faint wry recognition flickered across his face. Storm clouds tore open above them, and Zeus descended. Not with gentle grace, nor with regal calm, but like a lightning bolt given human form. His feet struck the obsidian ground, cracking it. His aura flared, blinding white shot through with gold. Thunder curled around him like loyal serpents. Persephone's lungs squeezed painfully. She had always known Zeus as the king of gods, the wielder of storms. She had seen him in Olympus distant, powerful, untouchable. She had never seen him like this. He was furious. Hades didn't bow, didn't speak, didn't move. Zeus's eyes snapped to Persephone storm gray, blazing with authority. Child, he said, voice rolling like thunder. Come forward. Persephone's feet rooted to the ground. No. The air froze. Zeus blinked, disbelief flashing across his features. No. I am not a child, she said, lifting her chin. And I am not yours to summon. For a moment, just a heartbeat, Zeus looked almost impressed. Then the storm intensified. Your mother tears the world apart, he said sharply. Winter spreads like disease. Mortals die in droves. Their prayers reach Olympus in screams, all because you vanished. I didn't vanish, Persephone spat. Hades took me. Hades stiffened, but Zeus barely glanced at him. Yes, Zeus said, with my blessing. You gave me away, she said, her voice trembling with rage, like a token in one of your games. You are a goddess, Zeus countered. Your existence is not small scale. Your alliances matter. Persephone shook with fury and something else. Something painful. Something like betrayal. You could have told me, she whispered. You would have refused, Zeus said. Yes, she screamed, because I had the right to refuse. Thunder cracked overhead. The ground trembled. Zeus stepped toward her, but Hades shifted subtly between them, not blocking Zeus, but bracing himself like a shield. Zeus's gaze darkened. Move aside, brother. Hades stood firm. I will not. Persephone stared at him, stunned. Zeus growled. You have taken what belongs to Olympus. She belongs to herself, Hades said, voice low. Lightning snapped through the air, grazing the ground inches from Hades' feet. Careful, Hades warned quietly. Do not wake the realm against you. Persephone felt it, a ripple beneath the obsidian floor, like the breath of a great beast being stirred. The underworld wasn't afraid of Zeus. It was watching, waiting. Zeus inhaled sharply, steadying himself. The world above withers. Demeter refuses to yield. Mortals die. This cannot continue. Persephone's voice softened despite herself. Mother is grieving. Grieving or punishing, Zeus countered. Her sorrow is a famine. Her fear is a winter. If this continues, the world will fall to ruin. She cannot help it, Persephone whispered. I am her only child, and she is killing the earth in her desperation, Zeus said. Mortals will not survive another month. Persephone wavered. Hades looked at her. This is why I proposed a pact. Zeus's eyes narrowed. What pact? Hades answered calmly. That Persephone divide her time between realms, bringing life to the underworld and renewal to the world above. Zeus scoffed. You propose what? That she become a seasonal ornament? A migrating goddess? Persephone bristled. Not an ornament, a bridge. Zeus studied her, storm light softening slightly. And you accept this arrangement? Persephone hesitated, Zeus noticed. Child Persephone, listen carefully. If you agree to this, your life will no longer be simple. You will belong to both realms. Your choices will shape the world itself. There is no turning back. Persephone closed her eyes. She felt the pulse of the underworld beneath her feet. She felt the distant ache of her mother's grief far above. Two worlds, one heartbeat, hers. When she opened her eyes, the storm in Zeus's gaze met the quiet fire in hers. I choose, she said, voice steady, to serve both worlds. Not because you demand it, not because Hades wants it, but because I will it. Zeus's expression shifted. Shock, pride, and something like respect flickering through the storm. Hades' shoulders eased, just barely. Persephone lifted her chin. I will be free to rise. I will be free to return. My life will not be a bargaining chip. And the terms? Zeus asked carefully. Persephone breathed in. The air around her shimmered cold and warm at once, winter and spring entwined. I will spend part of each year above, she said, and part below. The words shaped themselves like prophecy. Zeus nodded slowly. Very well. Hades dipped his head too. A gesture not to Zeus, but to her. The pact was forming, but something darker stirred beneath the threshold. A whisper, a warning. For every choice has a price. and Persephone had just chosen a destiny that would reshape gods and mortals alike. The message from Zeus had no sound, no voice, just a pressure in the air like thunder rumbling behind stone. The cavern's faint glow dimmed, shadows deepening as if bracing themselves. Persephone felt it before Hades even spoke. A tightening in her chest, a prickling in her fingertips. The sense of a storm gathering in a place where storms should not exist. Hades' eyes darkened, unreadable. Zeus calls for counsel. Persephone swallowed hard. You can't seriously mean to answer him. I cannot ignore him, Hades said simply. But he gave me away, she stammered, her voice cracking. He promised me without my knowledge. He allowed you to take me. I know, Hades said, and he will answer for it. Something inside her flickered, not triumph, something quieter, something like hope. But she crushed it quickly. And if I refuse to go? She whispered. Hades met her gaze. He will come here. The ground seemed to pulse with dread, and Persephone understood Zeus descending into the underworld would not be a negotiation. It would be war. Very well, she whispered, but I won't stand silently by your side while the gods decide my fate. Hades inclined his head. They won't. She blinked. What do you mean? You will stand as an equal, he said. Not a prize, not a hostage. My realm has already recognized you. She bristled. I didn't ask for that. Power seldom waits for permission, Hades murmured. Before she could respond, he lifted his hand and traced a sigil in the air, an arc of shadow that rippled like ink on water. The cavern dissolved around them, its light fading, its soil retreating into darkness. The ground rose beneath their feet, smooth and cold. They were transported, not up to the world of light, but to the threshold between realms. They stood at the gates of shadows, the border where the underworld touched the sky like 2 pages of a book, meeting at the spine. Hades called it the limen, though mortals knew nothing of it. Here, the world above shimmered faintly overhead, like a reflection in water, while the ground beneath was obsidian carved into sweeping arches. Persephone shivered. The air was thin and sharp, neither living nor dead. Hades extended a cloak toward her, dark as midnight, soft as smoke. It will shield you, he said. She hesitated, then snatched it from his hands with a scowl. I don't need your gifts. It is not a gift, he said. It is protection. Persephone glared at him, but swept the cloak around her shoulders anyway. Its weight settled over her like cool armor, humming faintly with some ancient magic. As they approached the center of the threshold, thunder growled overhead. A warning. Zeus was arriving. Persephone stiffened, her breath catching in her throat. I don't want to see him. You don't have to want it, Hades said quietly. You only have to stand. She clenched her fists. Don't tell me what to do. He didn't smile, but some faint, wry recognition flickered across his face. Storm clouds tore open above them, and Zeus descended. Not with gentle grace, nor with regal calm, but like a lightning bolt given human form. His feet struck the obsidian ground, cracking it. His aura flared, blinding white shot through with gold. Thunder curled around him like loyal serpents. Persephone's lungs squeezed painfully. She had always known Zeus as the king of gods, the wielder of storms. She had seen him in Olympus distant, powerful, untouchable. She had never seen him like this. He was furious. Hades didn't bow, didn't speak, didn't move. Zeus's eyes snapped to Persephone's storm gray, blazing with authority. Child, he said, voice rolling like thunder. "Come forward." Persephone's feet rooted to the ground. "No." The air froze. Zeus blinked, disbelief flashing across his features. "No, I am not a child," she said, lifting her chin. "And I am not yours to summon." For a moment, just a heartbeat, Zeus looked almost impressed. Then the storm intensified. "Your mother tears the world apart," he said sharply. "Winter spreads like disease. Mortals die in droves. Their prayers reach Olympus in screams. All because you vanished." "I didn't vanish," Persephone spat. "Hades took me." Hades stiffened, but Zeus barely glanced at him. "Yes," Zeus said, "with my blessing." "You gave me away," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "Like a token in one of your games." "You are a goddess," Zeus countered. "Your existence is not small scale. Your alliances matter." Persephone shook with fury and something else, something painful, something like betrayal. "You could have told me," she whispered. "You would have refused," Zeus said. "Yes," she screamed, "because I had the right to refuse." Thunder cracked overhead. The ground trembled. Zeus stepped toward her, but Hades shifted subtly between them, not blocking Zeus, but bracing himself like a shield. Zeus's gaze darkened. "Move aside, brother." Hades stood firm. "I will not." Persephone stared at him, stunned. Zeus growled, "You have taken what belongs to Olympus." "She belongs to herself," Hades said, voice low. Lightning snapped through the air, grazing the ground inches from Hades' feet. "Careful," Hades warned quietly. "Do not wake the realm against you." Persephone felt it, a ripple beneath the obsidian floor, like the breath of a great beast being stirred. The underworld wasn't afraid of Zeus. It was watching, waiting. Zeus inhaled sharply, steadying himself. The world above withers. Demeter refuses to yield. Mortals die. This cannot continue. Persephone's voice softened despite herself. "Mother is grieving." "Grieving or punishing," Zeus countered. "Her sorrow is a famine. Her fear is a winter. If this continues, the world will fall to ruin." "She cannot help it," Persephone whispered. "I am her only child." "And she is killing the earth in her desperation," Zeus said. "Mortals will not survive another month." Persephone wavered. Hades looked at her. "This is why I proposed a pact." Zeus's eyes narrowed. "What pact?" Hades answered calmly. "That Persephone divide her time between realms, bringing life to the underworld and renewal to the world above." Zeus scoffed. "You propose what? That she become a seasonal ornament? A migrating goddess?" Persephone bristled. "Not an ornament, a bridge." Zeus studied her, stormlight softening slightly. "And you accept this arrangement?" Persephone hesitated. Zeus noticed. "Child Persephone, listen carefully. If you agree to this, your life will no longer be simple. You will belong to both realms. Your choices will shape the world itself. There is no turning back." Persephone closed her eyes. She felt the pulse of the underworld beneath her feet. She felt the distant ache of her mother's grief far above. Two worlds, one heartbeat, hers. When she opened her eyes, the storm in Zeus's gaze met the quiet fire in hers. "I choose," she said, voice steady, "to serve both worlds. Not because you demand it, not because Hades wants it, but because I will it." Zeus's expression shifted, shock, pride, and something like respect flickering through the storm. Hades' shoulders eased, just barely. Persephone lifted her chin. "I will be free to rise. I will be free to return. My life will not be a bargaining chip." "And the terms?" Zeus asked carefully. Persephone breathed in. The air around her shimmered, cold and warm at once, winter and spring entwined. "I will spend part of each year above," she said, and part below. The words shaped themselves like prophecy. Zeus nodded slowly. Very well. Hades dipped his head too, a gesture not to Zeus, but to her. The pact was forming, but something darker stirred beneath the threshold. A whisper, a warning. For every choice has a price. And Persephone had just chosen a destiny that would reshape gods and mortals alike. The aftershock of swallowing the pomegranate seed rippled through Persephone like a tide that refused to recede. It was not pain, not exactly, but a profound disorientation, as if the core of her being had shifted slightly off its axis. The underworld pulsed beneath her feet, welcoming her, recognizing her, claiming a piece of her soul. But only a piece. One seed meant 1 month. A tether, not a chain. Hades' hand steadied her shoulders, cool and unintrusive. He did not grip, did not guide. He simply ensured she did not collapse under the overwhelming resonance rising from the shadowed realm. Persephone drew a shaky breath. I can feel it. What do you feel? Hades asked gently. She searched for the words. A thread, running from me into the earth, into the rivers, into everything. Zeus crossed his arms, watching her with sharp interest. That connection is what binds you to the underworld. Your return is assured, Persephone glared. I didn't do this for you. I know, Zeus said, but the world will thank you. She stiffened. He spoke truth, but it felt like daggers. Hades stepped between them slightly, not confrontational, simply shifting the balance of attention. You must return to the surface, he said quietly. Demeter's grief will not break until she sees you live. Persephone's throat tightened. She'll think I've been dead, or worse. She suspects the truth, Zeus said. But her rage blinds her. Only your presence will restore her. Persephone wrapped the dark cloak tighter around her shoulders, suddenly cold. And after? She asked. You will come back, Hades said. She met his eyes, a clash of shadow and emerald fire. But only for 1 month, she said firmly. Yes, Hades replied. Zeus nodded. And after that month, you will rise again to herald the spring. Persephone felt the weight settle. This was her life now, divided, shared, pulled between realms like the tide between moon and shore. She inhaled deeply. Let's go. Hades lifted his hand, drawing the sigil again. A slow spiral of shadow unraveling the threshold around them. The obsidian fractured into light, the ceiling dissolved, and the sky of the mortal world shone through like the surface of a dark lake breaking open. Persephone's heart lurched. The scent of soil, the chill of winter, the distant sound of wind moving through barren branches. Above, real, home. She stepped toward the shimmering portal, but froze. A thought gripped her suddenly, tightening like a vine around her throat. What if she doesn't forgive me? Persephone whispered. Hades hesitated. For the first time since she had met him, he looked uncertain. She will, he said, because you are her heart. Zeus snorted softly. Demeter forgives nothing easily, least of all us. Persephone's knees weakened. I didn't choose this. No, Hades said, but you choose what comes next. Their eyes locked one last moment, his gaze dark with remorse and something she could not name. Then Persephone stepped into the light. The world above surged around her in a rush of icy air and blinding brightness. She emerged in a field that should have been lush and golden, but winter had strangled it into a wasteland. Frost crusted the soil. Trees drooped, skeletal. The sky was pale and cold, as though the sun itself had tired. Persephone staggered forward, her breath coming out in a white plume. Mother, she called, voice trembling. There was no answer. She walked deeper into the frozen fields, the cloak billowing behind her like a shadow refusing to let go. Her heart pounded painfully. "Mother, it's me!" A gust of wind rattled dead reeds. Snowflakes drifted from an empty sky. And then a figure appeared at the crest of a hill, bent, ragged, hair disheveled and tangled with frost, eyes wild with grief so fierce it felt like a physical force. "Demeter," Persephone gasped. "Mother." Demeter stared as if seeing a ghost. Her lips parted. Her knees buckled. She collapsed into the snow. Persephone ran faster than she knew she could move, falling to her knees beside her mother and catching her before she hit the ground fully. "Mother, please," Persephone begged. "It's me. I'm here. I'm alive." Demeter trembled violently, reaching up with shaking hands to cup Persephone's face. "My child," she whispered hoarsely. "My little flower. My light. My life." Persephone's throat closed. Tears streamed down her cheeks, warm despite the cold wind whipping around them. "I'm so sorry," Persephone said. "I didn't want to leave. I didn't want—" "Hades," Demeter spat, fury igniting. "He stole you. He stole you and hid you in the dark. I will tear that realm apart stone by—" "Mother," Persephone cried, gripping her wrists tightly. "Stop. Please, listen." Demeter froze, shocked by the defiance, the tone, the power in her daughter's voice. Persephone swallowed. "I'm here now," she said softly. "I'm here for you. But—" Her voice broke. "I must return." Demeter's expression shattered. "No," she whispered. "Never. You will never set foot in that cursed realm again. I will burn the roots of the earth first. I will." "Mother," Persephone said firmly, surprising even herself with the steel in her voice. "I ate a seed." Demeter went still as stone. Her eyes widened in horror. "No. One seed," Persephone said. "Only one. I must return, for 1 month each year." Demeter shook her head violently. "I will undo it. I will challenge the fates. I will—" "You cannot," Persephone whispered. "It is done." The winter wind howled through the frozen valley. Demeter crushed her daughter in a fierce embrace, sobbing into her hair. The ice beneath them melted into muddy earth. "My child," Demeter choked, rocking her. "My child, what have they done to you?" Persephone closed her eyes. "Nothing," she whispered. "It was my choice." Demeter pulled back sharply. "You're what?" Persephone met her mother's gaze. No longer a maiden, no longer a shadow, but something new. Something balanced between realms. "My choice," she repeated. "To save the world. To save you." Demeter shook with silent anguish, but slowly, reluctantly, the frost began to retreat. The earth softened. A faint warmth brushed the wind. Spring was returning. Persephone exhaled, exhausted, and far below, in the depths of the underworld, Hades stood alone in the cavern where the first bud had bloomed. He knelt beside it. The petal shivered, and the realm whispered, "She will return." Spring did not burst into the world all at once, not in its usual triumphant sweep of color and warmth. This time it arrived slowly, as though uncertain how to return after so long a winter. The first signs were fragile things. A blade of green pushing through thawed soil, a droplet of melted frost trickling down a barren branch, a faint warmth in the wind that felt more like memory than reality. Persephone walked beside her mother, each step she took waking more of the world. Flowers stirred where her feet touched the earth, hesitating at first, then blooming in small, hesitant bursts of color. The ground exhaled beneath her, relieved to feel her again. Demeter followed in her wake, weeping, not with joy, Not yet. Her tears were made of grief softened by relief, by disbelief, by a terror so deep it had hollowed her for months. "My child," she whispered over and over, as if afraid that saying anything else would break the fragile miracle unfolding before her. Persephone's heart ached with every repetition. She was home, but not fully. Never fully again. The pomegranate seed pulsed faintly in her memory. Quiet, gentle, persistent. A thread connecting her to the realm below. 1 month each year. Only one. But the underworld's pull felt deeper than time. Persephone pressed a hand to her heart to steady the strange, dual thrum there. Life above, death below, both answering her. Demeter noticed. "What is it?" "Nothing," Persephone said quickly. "Just tired." And in part, it was true. Her body felt split between warmth and cold, as if 2 seasons lived inside her bones. Demeter touched her cheek gently. "Then rest. Let the world heal. You need not do anything more." But Persephone looked around at the wilted fields, the frost-bitten orchards, the collapsed hives. The rivers slowed to trickles beneath melting ice. "Mother," she said softly, "there is everything more to do." Demeter followed her gaze, and her face crumpled. "I failed them. I failed the mortals. I drowned the world in my sorrow." "No," Persephone said, placing a hand over her mother's. "You grieved. You loved me. That is not failure." But Demeter shook her head. "I should have fought harder. I should have stormed the underworld myself. I should have burned down Olympus until Zeus returned you to me. Mother, I should have." Persephone grabbed both of her mother's hands and held them still. "I am here now." The words were quiet, but powerful. Demeter inhaled shakily, then nodded. She lowered her forehead to Persephone's, their breaths mingling. "I will not lose you again," she whispered. A painful truth pressed against the back of Persephone's throat. "You won't," Persephone said. "Not forever." Demeter stiffened at the careful choice of words. "Not forever," she repeated. "But not always either." Persephone swallowed. "Only 1 month." The earth around them hummed faintly, recognizing the truth of it. Demeter's eyes filled again, but her voice steadied. "Then every hour of that month will be a war I intend to win." Persephone's heart twisted. "Mother, the pact cannot be broken." "All pacts can be broken," Demeter said darkly. "I will find a way." "Mother, enough," Demeter said, straightening. "Today is your first day home. Let us speak of nothing else." Persephone wanted to argue. She wanted to explain. She wanted to share the strange awakening she had felt in the underworld, the pulse of life waiting to bloom there, the way the realm had responded to her presence. But her mother would not understand. Not yet, and maybe not ever. So Persephone forced herself to smile and took her mother's arm. Together they walked through the fields as the world slowly thawed. 3 days passed. 3 days of returning warmth. 3 days of cautious joy. 3 days of Demeter refusing to let Persephone out of her sight. On the morning of the 4th day, Persephone awoke restless. She slipped out of her bed of woven petals and stepped outside, letting the cool dawn air wash over her. Birdsong weak, but present fluttered from the trees. The earth greeted her, stretching beneath her feet in a quiet swell of life. But beneath that, a faint echo, a distant thrum, the underworld. It called to her only in whispers. No urgency, no demand, just a quiet awareness, like a heartbeat she could feel only when the world above grew still. She held her breath, listening. A wave of warmth rolled through the soil, rising from deep below. It brushed her skin, soft, searching. Persephone pressed a hand to the ground without thinking, and the bud in the underworld, the one she had awakened, opened a second petal. The pulse surged up into her palm. Persephone gasped. "Child?" Demeter stood behind her, worry already brewing. Persephone quickly pulled her hand away from the earth. "Mother, I was just checking the soil. Spring needs tending." Demeter approached, suspicious. "The soil responds to you more strongly than ever before." Persephone hesitated. I suppose the time below changed me." Demeter's jaw tightened. "Then we will undo that change." Persephone looked away. She could not undo it. She did not want to. Not entirely. Something in the underworld had awakened a part of her she didn't know she possessed, a part that belonged. That afternoon, Persephone walked alone through the meadows. Colors bloomed under her feet, spreading in vivid strokes. Violets, daffodils, crocuses. She smiled faintly. But then the sky darkened, not with storm, but with shadow. A flutter of black wings. A raven landed on a branch beside her. Persephone stiffened. Its eyes shimmered, not as mortal birds do, but with a sentience older than men. A messenger. From below. The raven cocked its head, then opened its beak, and whispered, "My queen." A shiver ran through her. Persephone stared. What message do you bring?" The raven's wings trembled. Its voice echoed as though carried from a great cavern. The bud opens. The realm stirs. The rivers await. Life listens. Return when the moon wanes. Then the raven vanished, dissolving into dark feathers that melted into the grass. Persephone pressed a hand to her chest. 1 month had not passed. Her bond was not pulling her back. This was not obligation. It was invitation. The underworld was awakening, and it wanted her there. Not as prisoner, as queen. She closed her eyes, trembling. "What am I becoming?" she whispered. The wind answered with the scent of new blossoms. The earth answered with warmth, and far below, the realm answered with a pulse of silver light. Persephone opened her eyes. Her story was no longer one world or the other. It was both. And the season of choices had only just begun. The moon hung low on the horizon round, pale, heavy with quiet expectation. Its glow washed gently over the waking earth, illuminating fields that only weeks ago had been locked in ice. Now they breathed again. Grass rolled like green waves across the plains. Blossoms trembled on the branches, releasing the perfume of returning life. Persephone stood alone at the boundary where the meadow met the forest. Her cloak woven of shadow, gifted but not imposed, rested across her shoulders like a soft night sky. In her hand, she held a single pomegranate seed. Not to eat, not to bind, to remember. Behind her, the world hummed with the sounds of spring. Crickets sang, leaves rustled with new life. A soft wind carried laughter from distant villages, laughter that had returned only because she had. But Persephone heard none of it clearly. Her heartbeat echoed louder, steady as a drum guiding 2 worlds. Tonight was the night. The moon waned. Winter slept. The underworld stirred. Persephone exhaled slowly. "Time," she whispered. She felt her mother's presence before Demeter spoke. It came like a warmth rolling across the grass, like the first rays of morning brushing a sleeping field. "Must you go so soon?" Demeter's voice trembled despite her attempt to keep it firm. Persephone turned. Her mother stood a short distance away, hair gleaming gold in the moonlight, though the months of grief still etched faint shadows beneath her eyes. She looked smaller tonight, not as the mighty goddess who commanded the grain, but as a mother reluctant to release her child. "It has been a month," Persephone said gently. "Only a month." Demeter whispered, voice breaking. Not nearly enough. Persephone swallowed. It is more than many mortals ever receive. That is not comfort, Demeter replied, tears forming. You are my daughter. The world can share your blessings, but not your heart. Persephone stepped toward her and took her hands, warm and trembling. My heart is not leaving you, she murmured. It lives in both realms. As I do. Demeter shut her eyes in pain. You were never meant to belong to the dark. Persephone inhaled sharply. For a moment, she felt again the cold pull of the underworld, the pulse of the bud that had grown petals in her absence, the glow of silver roots reaching toward her memory. A piece of her yearned to step into the dark, not out of obligation, but because something there recognized her. Perhaps not meant, Persephone said softly, but needed. Demeter opened her eyes. Needed by him? No, Persephone answered. By the realm, by the dead, by the balance of all things. Her mother's jaw tightened. He twisted your mind with shadows. Persephone shook her head. Hades did not shape me. The underworld did not mold me. All it did was reveal what was already inside me. Demeter's silence was long, agonized. Mother, Persephone whispered. I am your daughter, but I am also more. I am life, and life is meaningless without death. Spring means nothing without winter. I must move between worlds because I am between worlds. Demeter's tears fell. I hate this. I hate this bargain. I hate that you must return to that cold place. Persephone cupped her mother's face tenderly. It is not cold anymore. For a moment, Demeter looked startled, puzzled, as if uncertain what she had just heard. Persephone smiled faintly. Something is growing there, something waiting for me. I do not return to emptiness. Demeter closed her eyes and leaned into her daughter's touch. I will miss you every moment. And I will miss you, Persephone whispered. Every moment. The breeze gentled, brushing their cheeks as though the world itself wished to hold them together longer. But time divided now, moved with purpose. The moon dipped lower. The shadows deepened. It was time. Persephone stepped back slowly. Demeter reached for her again, then stopped herself, fingers curling into her palm. Go then, she said softly, voice breaking. But promise you will return. Persephone nodded. I promise. When the world is ready to bloom again, I will rise. Demeter's tears glittered like dew in the moonlight as Persephone turned toward the forest. The shadows there shifted gently, expectantly. A path formed not from dirt, but from darkness, woven with silver light, the underworld calling, not pulling, inviting. Persephone inhaled deeply and stepped into the path. The forest grew quiet as she walked. Shadows leaned in like curious spirits, brushing her cloak. The air cooled not unpleasantly, but like descending into a familiar cave where secrets rest. Her footsteps grew lighter, her heart heavier and lighter at once. Halfway through the path, she sensed him. Hades waited, not at the end, not hidden in the dark, but just out of sight, as though respecting her journey. You always arrive before me, Persephone said without turning. A voice like distant thunder wrapped in velvet answered. I only wish to welcome you. She hesitated before facing him. Hades stood beneath a bough of moonlit branches, his figure etched in silver shadows. He looked the same and not the same, still the austere ruler of the dead, but softened by something fragile and impossibly human. Uncertainty. Persephone, he said quietly, as though afraid the name might break in his mouth. For a moment, neither moved. Then Persephone let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. You kept your distance, she observed. I feared you might not wish to see me, Hades said. A faint smile touched her lips. Then you don't know me as well as you think. Something bright flickered in his shadowed gaze. Relief, gratitude, perhaps even joy. I am glad, Hades murmured. Glad you returned. Persephone stepped closer until the branches above cast dappled moonlight across both their faces. I said I would return, she replied softly. One seed, 1 month. A promise is a promise. It is more than promise, Hades said. It is choice. Persephone held his gaze. Yes, choice. The darkness around them shifted, warm and alive, opening like a door of night toward the realm below. Persephone's breath mingled with the cool air rising from the underworld, carrying the faint scent of silver blossoms, the new ones, the ones her presence had awakened. She offered Hades her hand, not in surrender, not in fear, but in partnership. He accepted it cautiously, reverently, as if touching something sacred. Welcome home, he said. Persephone's heart beat once 2 worlds sinking for a breath. Not home, she corrected softly, but a home. Hades bowed his head. Then may it grow with you. They stepped together into the waiting dark. The shadows closed around them, not like prison walls, but like curtains opening to a new stage. Persephone descended not as a stolen maiden, not as a victim of fate, but as a goddess of 2 realms, a queen of seasons, a bridge between life and death. And when she crossed the threshold, the underworld bloomed, silver petals, glowing roots, rivers stirring with soft light. She exhaled, and the realm breathed with her, for the cycle had begun and would continue, forever turning by the will of the goddess who walked in both worlds.